Constant, how are you, mate?
I'm very well, thank you. I'd hope. I'm just curious where you're going with this smelling.
No, well, it was in the opener. It's like having a sniff around and all that. I was just playing off that.
Yeah, okay,
I wasn't saying anything about the odorly waft that's coming on. It's very fresh this afternoon, James. And a man who is deputising or is in, and he could be a permanent fixture if Brent Reid decides to just go full Sam Snead and stay over there for the rest of his life. Dave Riccio from the Sunday and Daily
Good to be
Telegraph.
here, boy. There's a chance of that. There's a chance Reedy may not ever come back.
He froths
And
over
listen
his
to
golf.
that. Can you hear that? Crickets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really like, oh, no, don't. Please come back, Reedy. No, he's
Good to be here, boys.
Good luck to him as well. Even though, you're over what happened at Shark Park yesterday?
Oh, it was unbelievable, wasn't it? Yeah, no, it's fine. All good. Let's go. 6 again. Play on.
He's a professional. He's a Sharkies man deep down. We're all in the media. We're allowed to support teams.
The question is it a big 6 again? Because I don't think Fitzgibbon and the Sharks
There'd be
players.
some deep internal review going on.
Was it one of those when you walk past the dressing room after the game on your way out? I don't know if you had post-game commitments with your writing or whatever, Dave, but you could hear Craig Fitzgibbon letting it be known his displeasure to
Adam,
his players.
let's put it this way. The door was firmly shut.
Yeah.
And you don't, down at Shark Park, it's still that suburban style dressing room tunnel area where, as you're alluding to, you can pretty much hear everything. But this one, security locked the door and it was silence. Oh, they've got the bye coming.
Oh, that's a long 2 weeks.
This is a long, long wait for Cronulla players.
And what a bizarre game it was. We had Teague Wilton scoring the very first set of 6 that the Sharks had.
Yep.
They go 20-0 up. Like electing to take the 2. It felt like the wrong decision at the time.
Yeah.
I guess hindsight's a wonderful thing. I can understand why they did go with that, but to lead 20-0 against the Warriors at home and lose.
Anytime that happens, but we'll get to the Warriors in a second. But James, just can you go through what springs to mind when I say spray after a game that you really should have won from a coach? Have you got anything for us that's happened in the past? The best one that springs to mind? Or are the best ones when there's just pure silence and you don't hear from the coach for 3 days and you know you're going to cop it at the first session back?
Yeah, that silence is horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who was the silent master?
Des would try.
But couldn't
He
help
just couldn't
himself.
help himself. So there'd be 5 minutes of silence.
Yeah. Then what would come out from Des?
And then I can actually remember we still rings in my ears, this spray. We lost to Newcastle in the finals of 2013. Just sort of pack up. Yeah. It's a bit weird. Like the season's done. And then we get back to the Leagues Club and he called us like all into this room, and by this point I think most had like anticipated thanks for your efforts a year and look after yourselves. It was like top level. Excuse me, like
Getting emotional talking about it.
Next level.
End of days.
Screams like
no one was spared.
The accusations leveled towards us, and
Wow.
it was probably right, but I still remember that. But it was the gap, and it was probably like.
Where was the game? Was it in Newcastle?
It was at a core.
Yep.
So we've showered we're talking like 2 hours post
Wow.
game finishing, and then bang.
It's impressive.
He held on to that one.
Were you
but it remained. I still remember it to this day.
Was it when Des was coaching the Bulldogs when he ripped the door off the handles? Were you? I think it was.
That was Manly.
Yeah, it was when he was coaching
time,
Manly
wasn't
at the time. Yeah, when he ripped the door the door off the hinge. Yeah,
that's great stuff.
yeah,
Well, you made the grand final the year after, so it worked.
yeah.
Way to go.
Yes, that's
Des.
one way of looking at it.
But back to this one, the Sharkies were past them. Warriors, got to mention them.
Yeah.
I mean, did anyone expect this 4 from 5 at the start of the season?
Not a chance. This has just been a sensational start for the Warriors under new coach Andrew Webster. And very much a little-known coach. There wasn't much hype around his coaching resume whenever the roundabout of coaches and the carousel comes up, Andrew Webster's name really wasn't on them. I still recall when the Warriors announced Andrew Webster, sort of thinking, okay, this is different.
Yeah.
And it felt like, oh, geez, the Warriors are just going to go. They're only getting him because he coaches at the Panthers as an assistant. You know, they're going wherever the successful club coaches are. But drill down a little bit deeper. He's done some work previously with the Warriors, and the belief is one thing that you just see within this squad that they are playing for each other. Like I haven't seen a Warriors team play for in a long time. And then the key influence is Sean Johnson, Jimmy.
Yeah, absolutely. I think go back to last week against the Bulldogs, and they had some poor decisions go against them, in my opinion. Then they concede off the scrum. Adokar goes the length of the field, and you think, this is where the Warriors fold because that's what we've become accustomed to. And then yesterday, the goal line defense, which was I thought outstanding against the Bulldogs, actually to then start the game yesterday was dreadful. All the Sharks needed to do was put on a simple block play, block for block, create an overlap, create a number, and they'd score in the corner. I thought, same old Warriors. They start to come back in. Then Niokore gets sin-binned. We'll likely talk about that a little bit later on. Huge level of adversity there. And you think, they got back, got themselves sorted back in. Then that happens, they'll go away. But they just kept at it. And that's a mentality that Webster's obviously instilled into his players. And after 5 rounds, the best is still yet to come from them, I believe. So it's fantastic what he's managed to achieve. And the competition is full of surprise packages. Like who knows who's going to beat who? But wow, the Warriors, for them to be sitting in the position they are now, like wow, nobody saw this coming.
No.
Nobody.
Keep in mind, guys, the Warriors were without Tohu Harris.
Yeah.
He is so influential to that Warriors outfit. Tamaree Martin, he's been sensational as far as being that supportive player for allowing Sean Johnson to do his thing. He was out. They named Ronald Volkman in the halves alongside Sean Johnson, but Ronald was taken from the field with a HIA assessment. Then he was put back into the game. Then he was taken off and replaced by Jazz Tavanga through the match. It was this mixed match of dynamics as far as what we think is the key to success as far as your spine consistency is concerned. Well, the Warriors didn't even have that.
Yeah.
And they still found a way. That says a lot to me. There's a resolve there in that it doesn't matter who's playing in the key positions. They know that they're playing to a belief structure, and they all just have bought in.
Yeah, I know Sean Johnson gets a lot of the praise, but there's a couple of people in his spine that really help him out. In Wade Egan, I think he's been fantastic, and then also Charles Nickel-Cluxter at the back.
Outstanding.
Like he's such a competitive little bugger. You can see it. Like he cares about he cares about his performance, and he cares about putting his body on the line. And he's really starting to evolve his game now. And you see him put his hand up for those play 4 into 5s. There was a set of 6 deep in yesterday's game where he's had 2 carries in the set. Like that for your fullback, that's
huge.
That's huge effort, and he's turning into the type of player you want to play alongside. And I've got to give him credit. Johnson will take all the plaudits. He nails the conversion towards the end, but Nickel-Cluxter, what a player.
Well, I think the joy in the Warriors setup right now can be explained by what Sean Johnson said to Emma Lawrence at full time yesterday.
That's the best ever, bro. That's like you get up early all pre-season, you go flog yourself, all the stuff that people don't see. A lot of people just see 80 minutes here, so to have that sort of satisfaction after working hard all pre-season, start the year, all week, I embrace that stuff. I think everyone in my position, Hines, Nico there, like he would have done the same. You got to embrace the moment, and yeah, lucky for me that one went through.
What is it about this group and this year?
I can't pinpoint one thing. It's an accumulation of things. It's obviously starts at the top, what Webby's introduced, and comes from a successful environment in the Panthers the last few years. So the things he's brought in, the buy-in, our new buys, that edge, that leg speed, that toughness, it's a whole heap of things coming together, and everyone ultimately doing their job as well.
Huge win, Dave. And Sean Johnson, his role in everything. We had Woodsy in here a couple of weeks ago, and he said, Andrew Webster and Sean have a great relationship, so maybe that's why the best and Mr. Smile on his face over there talking to Emma yesterday is coming out right now.
Yeah, look, absolutely. There's no doubt about there's a chemistry there. What's interesting, guys, is that late last year, coming towards the back end of the season, there was certainly discussions with inside the Warriors camp on whether a discussion needed to be had, a meeting needed to be had with Sean about finishing up last year. At the end of last season, perhaps made it's time you hang up the boots. He still had this season left on contract, of which is the final year he does have on contract. But there were certainly elements at the Warriors that felt like the game was going past him. And it was extremely tough circumstances too, as we know, through that COVID period for the Warriors. And I understand there was no one hurting more than Sean being away from his family. I think that was weighing him down, and it was actually showing in his football. There was pressure to drop him through at stages last season. But I think the appointment of Andrew Webster, as he's alluded to in that interview, that chemistry has allowed Sean to find his old self again. And I also feel as though, as far as my information coming out of the Warriors is concerned, is that Sean is putting his faith back in the coaching staff. Sean's not questioning the decision-making of training, of game time, of what we need to do here and here. Maybe in days gone by, Sean would have done that. And now he's just allowing the coaching staff to set the structure.
And that can happen. You can almost take on too much as like a senior player. You know, Sean Johnson has been one of the Warriors' best, was one of the Sharks' best as well. But with that comes that responsibility, and you're the voice of the players, and you know that players aren't happy about.
So you hear the whinging, you're the conduit to the coach to say, hey,
and you know you become distracted from what you're actually supposed to be doing. And you know, I always think about how the environment's set up to bring out the best in people. So it's clear that whatever's happened in the physical and the mental environment of Sean Johnson is paying dividends for him. It's the old saying that form is temporary, class is permanent, and he's really shown his class in these past couple of weeks. Like anybody, you know, we expect once you see the best of someone, you want to see that every single week. Yeah. Incredibly difficult to replicate. And Sean Johnson's had his challenges over the years, but it's a real feel good story. But not just the story, but what we don't see is everything that's gone into this. So Webster setting up the environment, you know, releasing him of those pressures, and then perhaps even as well the fact that he's probably staring down the face of this maybe his last year. So he may as well go all in, because you're a long time retired to think like I faded out towards the end. It's like, well, no, actually, I know I've got it, but I'm not going to worry about other concerns. I'm going to do as the coach says, not question him. I'll just give it one last crack, see what happens, and I think he's playing great football.
That interview yesterday exemplified how long he's been around, because he was asked, is this one of the greatest wins you've ever been involved with the Warriors? And he goes, no, we had some good ones back in 2011 when we made the grand final. So that's 11 years ago.
Yeah.
It's easy to forget that he was at the forefront of that as well, and such a dynamic young player. Reflections, guys, now that we've had almost a day to digest those sin bins yesterday. Your face screwed up straight away when I mentioned them. What do we think?
Look, the match review committee have come down and charged we're talking about the hip drops, right, Adam? And so the match review committee have laid the exact same charges for all three players out of yesterday's games. It's grade 2 dangerous contact charge for Murata Niokore, Dale Finucane, and Jayden Okunbor from the Bulldogs. Now,
were they the same severity, all three?
Well, that's the catch. And all three are 2 matches for Niokore early plea, 3 matches for Finucane, and 1 match for Okunbor. And it's based on loading, the severity of which leads to how many weeks they're out. But I'm really nervous, to be honest. I'm nervous for the game, because it's going to go down a very difficult path now of determining what's an accident part of the tackle and what's legit cannonball style taking the legs out.
Yeah, what's a hip drop that is used as, I'm going to use this force to get the player down, when it's still
a choice made, a clear choice made
of I'm going to adjust my body to get the man on the ground, because coaches don't like players standing in tackles. How that said, this hip drop style of tackle, or what you may view it as, sometimes it's unfortunate. So if a player bursts through the line and you're holding on, I don't know. So the near core example, I don't know if that is a hip drop. I think there's enough evidence there to suggest that that's a clear, just he's burst through, and I've tried to pull him back, and like my body can't go anywhere. But I've got to try and at least attempt to make the tackle. And the other two, I think they were a bit more in the traditional style of hip drop, where you've gone.
Which ones are those, Jimmy?
The Ockenbaugh and the Finucane ones, where that is a little bit more in the sense of I'm going to use my body to get this player to the ground. Where I think the near core one wasn't. I think that was gone through. And an even bigger issue for me in the near core incident is that the fact that we've gone all the way to play 5. Sharks have put in an attacking kick. Warriors come up with the ball, and then the referee's blowing the whistle. And I'm like, what? Oh, there must be an escort. Or something's happened on that play. And we've gone all the way back to like play 1 or 2.
Play the advantage for a set, essentially.
We are not rugby union. Well, please, let's not go down this path. Like, imagine if the referee calls a 6 again. Like, if there's a ruck infringement, goes 6 again. The Sharks have another 6 tackles on the line of the Warriors. They can't score, or they make a mistake on play 5 or play 6, and after the 6 again, or even another 6 again happens.
You come back 3 minutes.
How far do we go back?
Yeah. And what if the Sharks score a try? Does the infringement not have the severity of which it would if they scored a try?
Yeah.
An offence is an offence. Pick it up in the run. If not, that's what the match review committee is for.
And also, if it is a sin-binnable offence, like, wait until there's been a genuine stop in play, and say, Nikore, come here. You're on report for that tackle, and advantage has been played on, and you're going into the bin.
Exactly.
Like, we can't pull it back that far.
Yeah.
We just can't. It like anybody that watches rugby union, like, that is a big frustration.
Oh, the arm's out for a good minute and a half sometimes.
And they're basically waiting for them to score a try, and if they don't, they give them a shot goal.
Yeah.
But bizarre.
That's what I'm nervous about too. Yeah, I'm not only nervous about the
player copying a suspension.
The
through
analysis
bad luck.
of what a hip drop is in game.
Yeah.
Like, that's going to be so heavily scrutinised by not only fans and spectators and the media, but during game to analyse what. Oh, that's a hip drop. Yes. Oh, maybe the ball carrier is still twisting. Like, that's
so subjective.
It's so subjective.
It is. But I always look at it from this point of view. So in the Finucane incident, you could see the Warriors players go up, hip drop. And they were calling the referee for hip drop. But in the near core one, if that doesn't get picked up, I don't think anybody at the Sharks complains.
Yeah.
I don't think we're talking like this and saying how did they miss that one? The Ockenbaugh one, I think people got scream.
Yep.
That's a hip drop. People can see, but it's one of those where you just go, would anyone notice? No.
Yeah.
Nobody from the Sharks would have complained had that been allowed to play on.
Well, thriller at Shark Park, the finish, controversy aside, also out on a wet night at Homebush, and the Dogs got home thanks to this unbelievable moment. It was believable, actually, because it happened.
6 to go. They got 10 seconds. 10 seconds. A shot at a field goal to Matt Burton. He has a crack. Oh, he's got it! Oh, my God! The Bulldogs win in an amazing game. Wow!
Old Big Boot Burton, huh? He's incredible.
Did you see that spiral bomb he put up towards the end of that game?
It's still in the air, Jimmy.
Oh, my goodness.
It almost stopped the rain. You know, you say it brings the rain. It almost went up there and plugged the hole in the cloud to say stop rain. It went that high. It was ridiculous. But, yeah, huge moment for Matt Burton. He copped it in round 1, didn't he? After the Manly game, it was like that wasn't the performance of a person that's meant to lead this club to the next step. And there's a few steps to come for the Bulldogs. But ever since, he's gradually built, hasn't he?
Although last week, Adam, the halves of the Bulldogs went under some serious scrutiny in relation to not finding a way to get it done against the Warriors. And Matt took that personally. There was certainly some deep discussions being held within the Bulldogs inner sanctum about the halves. Okay, how do we grind out a win when things aren't going with us and everything's against us? And how do we find that kick to plug it into a corner or a repeat set, build pressure on the opposition half? And that wasn't the case against the Warriors. And I reckon, and Cameron Ciraldo, the head coach of the Bulldogs, actually reflected on this in the post-match presser that he doesn't believe Burton and Kyle Flanagan go and get the job done last night if they didn't go through the pain of last week and the frustration of not getting the job done last week. And I thought that was telling. It was telling because Kyle Flanagan was there to throw that long dummy half pass to Burton to kick the field goal. But Flanagan was pushing up in support everywhere he could to try and find a way to get that final score, and it was the marquee man, the biggest boot in the game. That was so special. I thought it was all heart from the Bulldogs, and if this squad and roster isn't there just yet, everything they're doing as far as foundation of character and playing for each other is there. That is so promising for the Dogs.
Well, mate, their middle forwards, they're shot.
Yeah.
Like I'm anticipating the call from Cam Ciraldo saying,
yeah, you're a chance.
Would you take it?
Can you?
Yeah.
$1 contract, Jimmy.
Not. Mate, you'd need about 9 zeros on the end of it.
Hey,
and just because I'd embarrass myself.
You do know Canterbury's one of the richest clubs.
Okay, maybe.
He's not denying it. It's a
That's a lot of Chinese fans at that Legs Club.
The mind's ticking over, but then and then I'd be all for it, and then Good Friday in the warm up, I've still got it, and then I reckon after about 2 tackles I'd be going, gee, this was a huge mistake. This was a huge mistake. But now their middles are decimated. It was such a gutsy win, and it took them to the final play to get Adokar over in that left-hand corner. What a play it was!
Huge.
That is just persistence. Believing we can get the job done. They score, then Burton misses the conversion, hits the beans on toast, comes back off it, and oh no, maybe they're going to get back into it. And then it was interesting watching Golden Point. I thought the Bulldogs had the ascendancy, and then there was a great kick from Chad Townsend, I believe it was, which pinned the Bulldogs in their half. And I'm thinking to myself, lads, don't try anything stupid here.
Yeah.
Just what you need to do, because I was watching the clock to get half time. Lads, you need to get through this set, take as much time as possible, and just get Burton to whack it downfield. And then the Cowboys won't have enough time to get in position. It was that battle of field position, and then the vision of Burton. And obviously, this is something that they've planned. So Burton to Adokar, the crossfield over the top.
Brilliant play.
Josh Adokar picks it up, and then I don't know. I perhaps thought Josh might have backed himself. But anyway, the reason I'm bringing this up is because when he kicks and it bounces over his head, many a player would have just gone, missed that one.
Yeah.
But he doesn't. He chases back, he turns round, and he beats the Cowboys players to it, knocks it back into the arms of Preston, who's chased again. So if Preston doesn't chase, Dogs don't get the ball because there's 2 or 3 Cowboys in attendance there. And then, like you say, Kyle Flanagan sprints to dummy half to give the ball to Burton.
There's effort plays everywhere.
Effort plays everywhere, and those are the little things that make all the difference, and gives Matt Burton then the opportunity to even have a crack at the field goal. He's going to take all the plaudits, and deservedly so. But there's some little effort areas there, which make a huge difference. And without Burton, it's one of those where it's they nearly play, and we'll see what happens in the next 5 minutes of Golden Point extra time.
One last one on this game, James, a hypothetical for you. What would you rather do? Play a game of run at me's with Sam Burgess again from 25 metres apart, or catch a Matt Burton bomb?
Oh.
Which one?
Well, I think I fail at both. So
No, you got him good in that grand final, didn't you?
yeah, but not anymore. Jeez. No. The Burton bombs.
Geez, Cowboys fullback Tommy Chester did
he did really well.
Sensational job.
Yeah.
You know what? It's almost they need to go to Steeden and say, this has become unfair now. You need to design us a new ball so the kickers can't execute these styles of kicks
ball.
because look, mate, who'd be a fullback or a back? Like,
not like that. Yeah,
change the ball
Make them heavier.
Yeah, make them
Kick a brick.
Do something. Do something. They should not be allowed. Like, poor old fullbacks.
They were without about $3 million
in the salary
in
cap.
the salary cap yesterday.
Mm.
Kickow, Thompson, Pangai Jr., Patolo. They lost Fatala Mariner during the game. Like it was huge.
It was a huge win. And with the way the Bulldogs were going, they played the travel back from New Zealand in a game where they're all disappointed.
Yeah.
Yeah. In another tight game, we talk of teams forgetting how to win.
Yeah.
Well, the Bulldogs didn't forget. They found a way to get the job done, and sometimes that's all you need.
Got here in the rundown on the Monday scrum. Tigers crisis deepens.
Right.
Was that possible? No, in all seriousness, did it, Dave? And by how far, if you reckon it did?
Oh, look, it's not. They can't get out of their own way. That's the West Tigers' problem at the moment. They've now besieged by headlines around the CEO Justin Pascoe finding his way onto the warm-up pitch prior to the loss against the Broncos, kicking footies around in the tracky pants. He's come out today in the Telegraph with an interview with Buzz Rothfield, declaring he's not going anywhere, not going to stand down. Have been calls for his head.
Because it must be pointed out, commercially, they're in a lot better position with Justin Pascoe there than they were 8 years ago.
No question.
But football-wise, it's gone in the other direction.
That's the key. Ultimately, the decisions are made by both the board and Justin, and that's where the frustration is stemming from.
Mm.
Look. Let me say, CEOs don't belong on the footy field. He shouldn't have been out there. He shouldn't be in the dressing room on his phone. It's not a good look for the. I can't recall seeing it, to be fair, and now I'm seeing it at the West Tigers where they don't need any extra spotlight. They don't need any extra attention like this, and it's a poor reading of the room.
Just been having a think, Dave.
Yeah.
Is there a possibility he's done this to deflect from some of the other issues, like the on-field performances and the coaches?
The old Wayne Bennett press conference style, how he'll just start to deflect about something else when his team's just been beaten. Look,
so he's
I'd
gone.
be
You
stunned,
know what? I'm gonna take one for the team here. I'm gonna deliberately go on my phone at half time. Maybe text someone to say, "Can you take a picture of me on the field kicking?"
We're not talking about who's playing in the Tigers' spine at the moment, are we? We're talking about Justin.
And didn't he get accused of celebrating in the pub the Tigers win?
He did,
and it was
up in Cairns.
Yeah, maybe he's done this again. Maybe he's done the old. Can someone take a
Scraping
picture
the
of
barrel,
me?
Jimmy? Scraping the barrel. If the CEOs, what do they spin the wheel and see who can take the blame this week? Is that what?
Hey, I'm just crazier things have happened. But in all seriousness, look, Tigers going up to Brisbane, they were always going to be up against
long odds.
Always going to be up against it.
Yeah.
They really were. And, even before, we come down with the rundown for the Monday scrum, on Friday, we could have predicted, hey, what would you think? Of course, Brisbane were going to, highly unlikely of the Tigers being anywhere near the Broncos, who are in red hot form. But what, in those situations, the Tigers and the CEO have just self-sabotaged. That's all it is. Like, I don't really have an issue with him being on the field, and he's justified that by saying, "Hey, I help out. I'm just passing the ball around."
Well, why don't you have an issue with it, Jimmy? He's the CEO. He should be up in.
Yeah,
it's player preparation time.
But that was before they came out for the warm-up, wasn't it?
All Justin's work's done through the week.
Yeah. Look, not massively over that or off that, but I am off him being in the changing room at half time.
Yeah.
And why is he there? So what's your justification for being there?
Yep.
Okay, maybe your justification is I want to read the room. I want to see how Tim is operating. I want to see how the assistants are operating. I want to look these players in the eye and see if they're responding to the message, because maybe things aren't right. Maybe we do need to, however you justify it, whatever. But he's not paying attention.
Maybe he's taking notes on his phone. Sorry, he wasn't.
Mate, if you are in there, don't don't insult the players by being on your phone. It's also, I know there is a player, like, you'd be thinking, what is he doing in here?
Yeah, so a minute before full time, half time, if you've had to tackle Payne Haas and you turn around and see that.
Why is he in here? And then what? Like, it's distracting. So even for Tim Sheens to be addressing the group.
Could there be a thought that the players could be thinking that he's taking notes on them? And then that's a distraction?
Well, it's whatever it is, it's just distracting him even being there. But then being on your phone, like, that is a big no-no. I wouldn't be. You won't see it again. And any coach worth his salt will be straight into him. Like, there'll be some.
Sheensy would have seen some things in his time, so I'm sure he's dealt with it already.
Yeah, we talk about sprays.
Yeah.
I know, obviously, you're dealing with technically your boss, but it will be words to the effect of, do not come in my changing room ever again.
Hey, sorry, I just wanted to bring up the point. We're on the West Tigers, and it seems that every Monday Scrum, every podcast we do here at Triple M and Listener, we bring up the West Tigers and how bad they're going. You have a look at the ladder and have a look at what happened to Canberra. In, the 6 p.m. Friday time slot is not the marquee time slot, but they got smoked by Penrith. They've won one game. They've got a for and against only minus 54 as opposed to West Tigers minus 64. Canberra got off extra light, and the West Tigers have got off definitely not off scot-free.
Well, I guess the argument there is Canberra were in the game, and Canberra made the 8 last year.
Yep. Well, Canberra weren't in the game on Friday, but they have.
No, but they were in the game at half time. Canberra were in the game at half time.
Yep.
And they had a second half fade up.
Yep.
Against the back-to-back champions.
Yeah. I echo Jimmy's sentiments. The Raiders have actually been pretty good, Adam, up until that diabolical performance. And there's no excuses whatsoever that will be coming out of Canberra that was dismal. But up until that, they lost by a point in round one in ridiculous heat up in Townsville to the Cowboys. Lost by a point.
They beat full-strength Cowboys pretty much as well.
They've beaten Cronulla, who we recognise as a top 8 team. I think they've played good enough footy to escape the level of scrutiny that's on the Tigers. Yep. I don't think they're in the same boat. They were without Jack Whiten. They don't have a fullback as far as I'm concerned. They've been floating Sebastian Chris back there. Jordan Rapana's played a bit there. Xavier Savage is out injured. They've got a high rotation of dummy halves. As I said, Whiten's out. Jamal Fogarty's playing with Matt Frawley. Matt Frawley's now gone for an extended period. Josh Papali hasn't been on the pitch. I think there's elements to the Raiders' performances that you can understand. There's elements to the Tigers' performances that I can't understand.
Okay.
And also, Ricky Stewart comes out and says that's not acceptable. And he apologises to the fans.
Yeah.
For the second half efforts.
Dolphins. Wayne Bennett, straight after it, St. George Illawarra. Fair turnaround from the Dragons, just quietly, and we'll get to them in a second. But Wayne comes out and says, oh, yeah, yous were probably expecting that, and here it is. So he immediately just dishes off to the media and says, oh, well, this is no real surprise, is it? Because this is what you predicted week in, week out from us. But, Jimmy, and Wayne Bennett said, yeah, we were up Derby last week. Is that a thing, or is that just a dish off to the media just to feed us a bit and, we'll run with that line? But as a player, is it actually a thing? You've got a huge contest the week before, an Anzac Day game or whatever, the next week. Is that hard to get up for?
Well, I think you want to try and be up at your peak every week, and it's an impossible task in the severity and the brutality of the week-to-week competition that the NRL is. But look, it was a big emotional occasion last week, and the Dolphins are decimated. Like, people say, oh well, this was always going to be an issue. Every club has injuries, but during that game, your second choice halfback, which Anthony Milford is. Yep. I know he was a former $1 million player, but he's the second choice halfback, and he goes down.
Right.
Like, those aren't, oh, we've got a couple of players missing. That's, hang on. And then we've got an 18-year-old, 19-year-old. It's our only half.
Yeah.
Like, come on. Like, let's be serious here. Like, other teams lose players, but then when you lose your backup half as well, they're all going to face issues. We look at Melbourne Storm. They with all due respect to the Gold Coast, they lost up there because they were down on a number of players. But then imagine if their backup half was to go down in that game.
Yeah.
Like it's going to be even worse.
And
So.
it could turn quickly because you saw what Melbourne Storm, the type of performance that they came up with, typical Melbourne Storm type performance against South the other night.
And I guess as well, looking at the Dolphins' season so far, they do. Well, the results and the performances just will show they're favouring being at home.
Yeah.
So even when they came down to Newcastle a couple of weeks ago, they were far from their best, and Newcastle sort of imploded a little bit. I think that's maybe something for Wayne and them to look at. But they've had a fantastic start to the year, and if you were to offer Wayne Bennett or anybody involved in that organisation this situation now, before a ball had been kicked, or at any point during their acceptance into the NRL or the preseason, they would have snapped their hand off.
3-2, 7th at the moment.
They've been up for a while, haven't they? They've played big games. First game at Redcliffe, the derby against the Broncos. They've had to get up for a while, and once now these injuries start to kick in, Wayne's spot on. Like I wrote them off. I didn't give them a chance of winning any of their first four games. And he made the point that, this is what you expected. Well, this is what I probably will now expect. I just think this injury toll is going to be immense. And this was always going to be the concern about their depth. And to be fair, I was one of the ones that thought the NRL didn't do them any favours and give them enough lead-in time to set the club up, to recruit enough quality of player. But look, I just think they're going to find it really, really difficult now.
Dave, do you think I would hazard a guess that they have some salary cap space for this season? Does Wayne Bennett dip into the market?
Yeah, potentially, yeah.
Is there a market to dip into?
That's the catch too, Jimmy. To Adam's point, there's not, and what are you looking for? So there's not a strong list of off-contract halves at the moment. Almost every second club's looking to pick up a middle forward from another club. I get phone calls every day from clubs saying, "Is this bloke? Do you know if he's off contract? What's going on here?" There's a dearth of middle forwards, so it just depends what they need. They need that, like Sean O'Sullivan for me. That's a huge blow.
Yeah,
he's been in there. He's just a real conductor of the team. He'll be a big out for them. Cody Nikorima, I suspect, will come into the side and play in the halves with young Katoa, but there'll be cap space there, Jimmy. But it just depends what they need.
But you think now, Wayne
hold the fort, or
do you think they'll be looking to see if they can get not band-aid solutions, but just some people that can come in?
Well, I don't think they'd go band-aids, Jimmy, because ultimately they're still setting up for next year and the year after.
Well, then,
so any player that comes will need to sign a 2 to 3, 4 year deal.
So then, let's say Jack Whiten, for instance. Is there a possibility? I believe the Dolphins are in.
Yep.
Do they go, we'll take him off your hands now?
Oh, look, mate, do you think the Raiders are letting Jack Whiten go? I don't think so. I understand where you're coming from, but the club has to be mutual.
No, I know that, but funnier things have happened.
True.
Well, they play each other on April 29. Maybe Wayne can just kidnap him and take him back to...
Like Ricky Stewart's a very proud man, and he wouldn't want someone there that has had their head turned or doesn't want to be there, I believe.
Yeah. Well, hey, look, I would find it surprising. I still feel as though the Raiders are front runners to retain Jack.
Yeah.
I think you're kissing the season goodbye, Jimmy, if you let Jack Whiten go.
Yeah,
given what we saw on the weekend.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, but,
money talks all
money
languages.
talks and funnier things have happened and the emotion gets into it, and who knows, that would free up
$1 million and the Raiders can move. Yeah.
Well, the good news is for the Dolphins that they don't leave Queensland for the next 3 weeks. They take on North Queensland, which is still a long journey, but maybe a good time to get North Queensland off the back of that disappointment against the Bulldogs. And then they host a game against Souths at Suncorp Stadium, and then they go down to the Gold Coast. So they don't have that leave Queensland factor coming in the next 3 games. Time now for this. Oh, quick one. Dragons. That was pleasing for Anthony Griffin and his chances of impressing the board and all that, but more pleasing probably for the players who themselves would have looked at themselves. James, you probably attest to this, about when a performance doesn't meet your own standards, and whatever those standards are, it was way off against Cronulla. Turn it around.
Well, they've had 40 points put on them in the last 2 weeks against the Broncos and the Sharks, respectively. So there would have been some nervous fans out there as well, thinking, "Oh, the Dolphins are going to come down here and the fade out." But the Dragons did really well. I could see in the start that they were up for this one. The opening set of the game, the Dragons came to belt the hell out of the Dolphins. They knew probably the Dolphins were under siege a little bit, and they showed that, hey, let's forget what's happened these last couple of weeks. We need to get a win, but we get the win by performing well, and we set a bit of a standard. It was a much improved effort and performance from the Dragons.
Yeah, just two big inclusions for me were Junior Ramon and Jack DeBellin.
Yeah.
I just thought they can now, those two players coming back into the Dragons side, that's something the Dragons can really springboard off. Two quality players.
Few contenders for this little segment.
Now, the WTF moment.
I'll start us off. Bunch of mates went up to Mudgee on the weekend. I had a great time. I had to stay here and go to my daughter's dance concert, which I loved, but it was only 45 minutes long and I missed the boys' weekend. Such is life. My own fault. Anyway, that's not the WTF moment, although I was thinking on the couch at various stages throughout the afternoon that it was.
Where would you rather be?
However, watching that game early on and seeing a certain player, and I'll never say to a rugby league player that was soft or you didn't put your body on the line, because they do it each and every week. And look at me, I'm a rake and I don't belong anywhere near a rugby league field. However, Lockie Miller, in the opening stages of that, I get that Hamoli Olakau'atu is a very big human being, but that was the definition of a WTF moment.
Yep.
I don't know what happened.
There's some amazing wineries in Mudgee,
yes,
Adam.
True.
And I just wondered if Lockie had just dropped into Lowe's. Lowe's is a great winery up there, and just for a taste test.
Cheeky little cab
Yeah, just a taste, of a Merlot or a Shiraz.
Yeah.
Because he was lost. and credit to him, he was on the Matty John show on Sunday night. Yeah, just having a laugh about it.
Owned it.
And owned it. But I'm with you.
I hadn't seen that since I did something similar playing under 13s anyway, to a much bigger human being. Jimmy, you got a WTF moment for the weekend?
Just that was bizarre. But I, to be fair to him, if he goes to attack Olakau'atu, he either just runs over him or draws and passes. So I don't think the outcome was any different, but it just just a strange one. No, my WTF moment goes to that game, and in the 89th minute of Golden Point, and Tyson Frizzell has cramp.
Oh yeah,
and the ref stops the game.
This is the new stoppage. The new phantom stoppage.
What? When did we stop the game from cramp? Because in the 89th minute in Golden Point, you want fatigue to be a factor. You want players to be cramp. Okay, sorry, sir. Sir, do you mind if you just halt the game? I know they're making inroads in our defence here, but my hamstring's about to cramp up. I'm just going to lie down next to the ref.
Have you ever had a cramp in your hammy and calf?
Not that I can recall. I never.
To be fair to Tyson, you can't move.
Yeah. Oh,
can't move.
That's not the argument. And it's nothing against Tyson Frizzell.
Yeah.
It's about the officials stopping the game.
Yeah.
And bear in mind the situation of the game. Fatigue should be a factor. Manly there, then the play stopped. Newcastle reset.
Loss of momentum.
Manly, all their momentum had gone. They had to send one player. They had 2 plays left. So they send one player into set up field position for the position for a field goal. But however, if the play wasn't stopped, that player then runs a little bit further. Newcastle are on the back foot, so they can't put pressure on Cherry Evans. I don't know what game are we playing when we're halting the game for cramp? And Frizzell as well was on the side of the player of the ruck. Like he wasn't interfering.
He wasn't going to get run over. Yeah.
So. I don't know. If I was a coach, that'd be my tactic. So have a call. Night Rider is the night Rider call, and you go down for a cramp.
Night Rider.
Whatever. Call it whatever you want.
Boys, I'm stepping out of the rugby league
Yeah, good. Yeah.
Circle, right?
Wider the better.
Did we catch the F1
Yes.
debacle yesterday,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
How fast do F1 cars go?
Upwards of 300 k's an
Okay,
hour.
so these palookas, right, decided, there would have been about 10, 15, 20 of them, decided to climb the wire fencing that surround
I didn't see this.
the track.
Oh, yeah. The
Right.
Stop Oil mob.
Oh, it was them, was it?
Right?
Okay.
And so they've climbed this fence as
Yeah.
the F1 cars are whizzing past at 300 clicks,
Yeah.
taking photos, filming it, selfies. Absolute.
On the track.
Like, honestly.
How'd they get over the fence? That's a
Guys,
hard
can we
fence
just
to
take
climb.
2 seconds and think what could have happened?
Yeah.
Right? It would have been a worldwide catastrophe.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
I thought you were talking about the end of the grind because I only
No.
saw the mini last night on KO, so I didn't see, and that oddly enough didn't make the official film.
Oh, it's
but-
unbelievable.
It's so dangerous, but not only dangerous to them, they're endangering the drivers and the public and all the safety officers that are involved in the F1. Like, you might have a message,
Mm.
not the place to do it.
Remember Peter Hall when he did the dance when the Melbourne
Melbourne
Cup
Cup.
field went
Yep.
for home at about the 300,
That's
the
right.
clock tower. He decided to dance out in front of any kind
That's
of
just
averted
as
them.
ridiculous.
And
Just as
sport can be a great vehicle for societal change, but
Not like that.
not like that.
that.
Not like that. Yes, very definition of the WTF
Yes.
moment. All of them. 3 great noms this week. Bronx 5-0. They're the real deal. Last time they did this, they won the comp in '98.
Oof. Well, yeah, they are. And I'm putting my hand up right here, right now. I did not give them a chance this season. I thought Reece Walsh, he might take time to find his feet. Adam Reynolds, another year older. Their dummy half they haven't got what you'd call an absolute star dummy half. And I just thought, that's too much ifs and maybes for me. Little bit of pressure on Kevy Walters to start the year, but oh my goodness, they are
They got some firepower.
absolutely outstanding. Pat Carrigan, Payne Haas, best front runner in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're the real deal for sure.
What's his contract situation?
Oh, good question.
It
Off the
seems
top
to
of my
come
head.
up every year. Where is it at the
Yeah,
moment?
let me work on that
Didn't
while
he
Jimmy
want-
talks.
He wanted out, didn't he? Last
He,
year?
wanted an upgrade.
Yeah. Threw the
yes.
toys out of the cot a little.
That's right. He did. He wanted an upgrade of what he thought was marquee money for a front rower.
Yeah.
And
Well, guess what?
Yeah.
If he's not worth it now,
well, to his credit, he's letting his footy do the talking.
yeah,
isn't he what?
what a player. And to the Broncos, Dave, I'm with you. I had question marks around them. I could certainly see how this was going to be. The news cycle was going to be the negativity about Brisbane, and they've not gelled, and they put this kid in from the Warriors to play fullback, and that hasn't worked, and the pressure that was already on Kevy. But I love watching them play. They play with this style where they throw the ball around, and it's so quick. And you've got Reynolds pulling the strings. You've got forwards that can pass, forwards that can offload. They have a strong power game. They've got strike out wide. Beautiful to watch.
Reece Walsh, I think I've said it before on this one, that the way he runs, he's going to, of course, if he's got a hint of an opportunity, he's going to take advantage with just his
He's
acceleration.
electric.
He's so good to watch. I can't imagine what he's going to end up if he gets the right environment around him. Obviously, being in Brisbane, a star Bronco, there are outside factors that can play a part as well, lifestyle-wise. Hopefully, all that stays on track because you've got something that could be, you can't put a ceiling on what he could do in the next 10 years. Am I dreaming here?
No, to your point, in the right environment.
Yeah.
If he keeps his feet on the ground, we know, look, Brisbane's a big city, and we've seen other players go by the wayside when it does become all too much too quickly. But Reece Walsh seems to have a bit of calmness about him. I think the fact that he actually did go and experience a new footy club over at the Warriors would make him realise of pretty much how lucky he is and how special he's got it at Brisbane. He's a unique talent and has gone beyond what I expected already for the Broncos. On Payne Haas, Adam, he's contracted through until 2024. He can become a free agent from November 1 this year, but he wants around $1 million a season. Now, that's big money for a front rower, but I dare say I'd pay
23?
I'd pay it. I'd go there. He is just something out of the box.
Yeah. I don't think you're going to get any disagreement up the end there.
Mate, he's the best front rower in the competition.
Mm.
Last year, I reckon, probably wasn't up to the standard that he set.
Yeah.
But I think he's been the best front rower for probably 3 out of the last 4 years.
Bronx get a great draw as well, and it's not their fault that they get a great draw. They got Magic Round, they got an away game Magic Round, but they host Manly at Suncorp Stadium.
Right.
They've got to go to Darwin. Para have taken their game against Brisbane to Darwin. Warm conditions. Para did this last year against the Cowboys. I can't understand why you take a Queensland team to Darwin. Anyway, that's by the by. They don't come to Sydney. I think they got an away game against the Warriors and Melbourne, but they don't come into Sydney until June to play Cronulla. So, they've got a few, not favours with the draw. It's just looks good for them at the moment. But Origin will be the key. How many of the young players get selected for Origin, how they back up from that. Time for, it's usually Reedy's mail. But Reedy's taken his mail and pissed off to Augusta. So it's time for this now.
Doctor, give me the news. I got a bad case of loving.
This has got it all.
DR, Dave Riccio, Doctor. Thank you, Mark Guy, for that introduction.
Yes, MG.
MG came up with that one.
Boys, this is your boys, right?
My
Big
mob.
game against Panthers, right? This Saturday night.
Got
Obviously,
Aina.
without Josh Schuster last week in Mudgee. I'm hearing he trained well today. Now, it's a quad injury for Josh Schuster. Needs to see how the recovery of that training session went. So he'll be assessed. The team will be picked on team list Tuesday. I wouldn't be shocked if Schuster's back. As I said, we'll see how he goes on Tuesday as far as that recovery is concerned from a pretty good session today. So it's pretty positive news for Manly fans and Josh Schuster.
Because the signs that I saw, that whole game you called a WTF moment, especially the end there, and I didn't feel sorry for Manly copping that situation with Frizzell because their own worst enemy. I watched, obviously, every game that they played last year, and everyone blames the rainbow jersey thing. But long before that, there was a soft underbelly to Manly. Remember the night against Melbourne, the night against North Queensland when they let insurmountable leads, one slip and one nearly slip. And there was this defensively just so brittle. When one thing went wrong, a lot of things went wrong. And all of a sudden it came flooding back at stages in Mudgee. So this weekend against Penrith, it's a massive test to see if those old ways have really gone or they're still lingering.
We're getting to the part of the season, boys, where clubs are being hit by injury and suspensions. And it's going to be a real test of depth now. I'll touch on the Sharks quickly. Dale Finucane, I expect him to take the early plea 3 matches. That'll hurt their forward stocks, but also will this. Toby Rudolph has gone for scans on a foot injury. Those scans are yet to be determined. However, it does look at least a couple of weeks on the sideline for Toby, at least. Again, I'm waiting for the results of those scans to be understood. That'll be 2 middle forwards down for the Sharks. They do get Oregon Kafusi back from a head knock, 11-day stand down, and Wade Graham comes back from suspension. Now the Sharks.
Finally, Wade has to give up his weekend media duties to go and play a bit of footy.
Go. Yes, yeah, he'll be disappointed.
Poor old Wado.
He's actually got to play some footy.
Yeah.
They will get Wade back for the Sharks. Play the Roosters off the bye this weekend, so they'll get some stocks back. Milford, I mentioned hamstring injury. He's out. Nikorima, I expect to play alongside Isaiah Katoa. Now, there's big concerns at the Cowboys for Helam Lukey and Jordan McLean. Both hamstring injuries suffered last night against the Bulldogs. They've only got a 5-day turnaround. You can rule a line through both Lukey and McLean. They just won't be able to turn it around in time. They were on a 6 a.m. flight out of Sydney this morning, the Cowboys, which was...
Yuck.
We don't need to remind each other what time you need to get to the airport if you're on a 6 a.m. flight. So it's
group check-in as well. It takes forever.
You talk about clubs going under the radar as far as scrutiny. The Cowboys might just be that club where we start to take a keen eye on because they play the Dolphins this weekend, got rolled by the Dogs, got some injury dramas now. If the Dolphins put on a performance here, suddenly the Cowboys, who we expected something of, might just come under some heat. But look, as I said, this is a real tough period for clubs, and that's just a few of them.
Yeah, bit happening as always. Gentlemen, that's us for the Monday Scrum. Thank you, James.
Brilliant, great to be here. Great chat.
One. And Dave,
thanks, boys.
Yeah, Reedy's going to get delayed. You'll be back in for the next 3 weeks, mate. So lock it in. Mondays.
Thank you, boys.
That's
Good
a Monday
stuff.
Scrum.